From the time I was little to almost my 40s, I was scared to try anything new. I feared being incompetent, a fraud, being a failure. Now, I realize just being present, humble, and gracious, the most authentic person that I can be, comforts me into trying anything. So join me as we travel around and talk to others that have mastered the skill of finding ways to just be. On this episode, Joe and I traveled to Asheville, North Carolina, home of PIE.ZAA Pizza, where owner and my good friend Tyler teaches me to just be a pizza maker.
So what do we do first?
First, we wash our hands.
Okay, that's a good call.
The reason we called it PIE.ZAA there wasn't any meaning behind it. It was kind of, what are we gonna call it? And we serve pies and slices of za, and we'll just call it PIE.ZAA. And that was probably the hardest part of picking a name. Is it gonna be significant? Any of the sorts like that, but it really doesn't have to be significant if you build your brand around it. We made t-shirts that say eat PIE.ZAA, not pizza.
Yeah. And
it's kind of cool because then you're relating your brand into this physical object that people can actually put in their mouths.
Right.
Step two, what we do is we scrape this out of this bin and we're gonna double dip it into that bin. That's perfect.
Look at that. I'm like a natural.
You should work here.
Okay, so am I just keep flipping or?
So 1, 2, you're good, and
okay.
Then I like to just take a little bit of that excess flour that's not sticking,
okay.
And take it off. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're holding it like a little baby, so that's great. You're treating it right.
This is like my 2-year-old right here.
I don't know. I've always had drive because I think you're groomed with it. I think you grow up with something like that, or the situation your life goes in is how it determines your drive or the way you look at life. Where I grew up, and I go to my dad. I was a lacrosse player. And I told him, hey Dad, coach took me off the lineup, and he goes, well, what'd you do wrong? Get better, do something more. Or whenever I wanted to go get a job when I was young, it was, no, you're not getting a job, go find how to make money. And it was like, well, what do you mean? So I had to go make a landscaping company, I had to go shovel snow, I had to go cut grass and those type of things. And I think through the course of time as being an adult or a young person that just sponges things, you end up developing what we call drive, I guess. The only thing he said was, you'll work your whole life. He says, you don't have to work right now. He says, go find a way to make money. I was like, okay. And it kind of just trained me to think that way. But through the course of time, I was just, the whole time, how do I do this myself? How do I make my own money? How do I build something that I want to do? So the whole point of making big pizzas is that small circles make big circles.
Okay.
Do your thing, flatten it out, and just get it to a bigger circle of what you think.
Just keep making as big a circle as I can. So when you started making these pizzas, you knew nothing about pizza.
Correct.
Tell me about some of your first experiences making these pizzas, like when you were first trying to learn how to do this.
I was doing exactly what you're doing. I was just pushing down on some dough and hoping it goes my way.
Did you talk to anybody?
At this point, no. I didn't talk to anyone or consult with a good friend of mine until they realized how pathetic I was at this.
Okay, and so when you started this, you chose pizza out of 3 different things, right?
Yeah.
What were the 3 things again?
Pizza, hot dogs, and noodles.
Okay, so why did you pick pizza?
Because pizza's way cooler than hot dogs and noodles.
It is hard to make noodles cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And okay, and so, but also you had lived in New York, right?
Yeah.
And so you lived in New York, and what were you doing there before you were doing this?
So I was doing medical sales in New York.
Right.
And just running around the city like crazy, partying at night, and working during the days, and getting out late, going to pizza shops, and I could go to the bodega anytime I wanted. And then I came here and I was like, why is there no late night food or options?
And when you lived in New York, you did consulting too, right?
Mm-hmm. I started consulting whenever I came down here. I left kind of the medical sales side and started doing consulting when I moved down here.
And then what made you want to get out of the consulting?
I had two levels in my prior career. First one, medical device sales for laparoscopic GYN general surgery. And I was in the operating room all the time with that, but this one specifically, I was in New York City running a territory. So we were in Memorial Sloan Kettering, which is one of the biggest cancer institutions in the world. And it had the hardest cases. It had people from all around the country that would come. And unfortunately, a lot of the cases where we cut them open, too much cancer, we got to sew them back up and just have them have the best life until they live it out. So it started, I wanted to get into that because I needed to be in sales to make money to create what I wanted to create. In the process, I was dating a girl in college and her father was in medical big CAT scan machine stuff. And I was like, that's what I need that money, I need it quick. And also I'm in the hospital, so I'm actually helping people. Right. So I don't feel like a salesman. I could help people and in exchange get paid for that. Right. On the way out, it was because I was starting to get to a point where it's like, even though I'm here helping people, I don't see happy faces, I don't see smiles. The people I'm working with are, overworked, underpaid, and the hospital is ran like a business. So I wasn't directly helping people, and that started to get a little bit frustrating. I'm here to help people, not run a hospital and like a business. And that's what I was like, okay, I'm starting to transfer out. And then we started creating the idea of PIE.ZAA, and then it just started implementing, and then through a course of time, it just transferred over and it swung. I went full-time here. Okay, see what you're doing right now?
Okay, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
So what you're doing is you're pushing that dough out, and this is causing creases. See how that it's not smooth anymore?
Stretch marks.
Yeah, you don't want that. And then also this is, see how awkwardly shaped this is right now?
Yeah.
That's also not good.
So my question is, how do I get it into a bigger circle? I pull on it on the outside?
Yeah, you can, this dough, since it's 1 day dough right now, you can be pretty rough with it. See how you just pull that sides and you're just making it more and more elastic. So see how I've kind of gotten it to where it's at. But this is also, it's gonna be tough because it's 1 day old dough and it's not.
So it's just not as easy to.
It's not as easy. So a lot of what you're doing is pushing it out and you're trying to warm it up and heat it up, and then you want to put it on your hands, and then you want to sling it up in the air. But it's just all finesse, and when I take it, see, like I'm holding the edge of this.
See, but like in my mind, like it's just gonna fall to the floor.
Yeah,
like
it's
how
all
did you
feel.
how did you learn to kind of trust that like it's not gonna like break? Because it can break in the middle, right?
Yeah, and it sometimes does.
So what keeps it? So what do you do when it breaks? You just put it back down and you start.
Yeah,
again?
you can just like fix it up and do whatever, but yeah, this is pretty rigid, even though it's not at the same time. But it depends. Like, I didn't realize how much of a science dough was until you start working with it, and you're like, okay, our ideal is like 24 to 48 hour dough fermentation. This is a couple hours just because Zach's making it right now, but it's easier to manage and toss around. Whereas if you get some blown out dough, it'll just stretch and stretch and stretch on you. So once we get this out, I'll actually bring out the other dough that's better and see how you manage with that. Okay? But yeah, keep working it. Let me go get another dough.
All right.
You're good, you guys can come in. So I think the hardest part is kind of dialing it back and not thinking that everything in life is at a microscope in a hospital or the sorts of that. And it's helped a lot working with a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Still need a lot of improvement though. So sometimes when something comes supernatural to me, I assume another person is in that same space. It's not the case most of the time. So what I've learned is, not in a harsh way, but you have to set boundaries for what your business or the things around you need or what you need from those people, and then follow up with an explanation of this is why I'm setting this boundary. And I think if you can slowly and kindly over the course of time tell people that and explain to them and the reasons why you want to get to point A to point B, then I think they can start developing the habits that you're trying to look for in someone that just was blessed with it as a child.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell like where I need to do what.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, cause, like, how many times have you done this?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, maybe thousands at this point.
Do you remember what the first time was like?
Yeah, it was awkward. It was really awkward. Like, I've watched like YouTubes and tried to figure it out, but most of them were like pizza competitions, and they're like spinning it on one finger, and I'm like, how do I get from pushing on dough to that? How do I do that?
Do you miss the process of figuring shit out?
Yeah, 100%. That's my favorite part.
So that's what you keep trying to do, right?
Yeah.
You keep trying to find new shit to figure out, right?
Yeah, that's why we're trying to expand.
Right.
I get too bored.
Because like, you're like, okay, I've gotten here.
I need some pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're constantly failing. If everyone's just successful in everything they do, then they're not going to grow. They're not going to change anything. They're not going to make something cool. How's it going?
Oh, just having a blast, thank you.
And because whenever everything's good, then you're not growing.
Yeah.
You're stagnant.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
So you want to have failures. You want to keep on doing that.
Yeah.
You want to grow. You want to make new shops. You want to do everything. See how you're stretching the middle? This middle, see how thin it is already?
Okay.
You're looking to get this crust
So you need more of the outside done.
Yeah, yep.
So so I'm not looking just to get a circle. I'm looking to get the crust to be the same. So this is way bigger.
Yeah.
This needs to be same all the way across.
Correct. In a lot of places, they would probably tell you different or however they want to do it, but we found with the size of ours, to keep the inside equal to the crust is perfect because the crust will rise without it having sauce on it whenever you put sauce.
So
Just avoid it.
and just throw it away.
Get rid of it, yeah.
What?
Yeah. So we'll work with a good one now. So try to get this one out.
So that's not a good one?
That one was just made right now, and I just thought it would be a little bit more easy for you to manage. See what you're doing, you're already messing up.
Okay, so
So what did I tell you at first?
to make a circle.
Yeah, but I told you to mess with the crust first.
Okay.
And you went straight to the middle.
Okay.
So we need to flatten out all of this so that the middle actually gets more volume in it.
Okay, so I'm pushing the volume to the middle.
Yeah. Not even a push, kind of just a push down, you know? And then you want to get it all the one same even on all the sides.
So I'm gonna push it out, like push the crust out like this, right?
Yeah. And again, everyone does it differently. I've never seen this technique, but it's still not wrong.
Hey, you've seen this technique? This was you in your kitchen.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
When you were first starting.
You're
like
right.
you're telling me that you were over there pushing the right way.
You were right.
How many doughs you throw away at home?
So many.
Did you really, or did
Yeah.
I would have probably just tried to
Well,
use
like
it.
the dough wasn't even good at that point.
Oh, because you just kind of beat it up so much?
this dough's perfected. We got people that know what they're doing, and the recipe's perfect. The timing's perfect on the mixer. So,
Look, dog, my daughter has Play-Doh, so I do this all day long. What are you talking about?
all right. So see how you're pushing it in?
Yeah, but I was trying to get all this stuff to the middle. Like
That's
you
all
said.
right. So now you've gotten it semicircle. It's all flat and even. Now you want to kind of get it to a point where you can put it on your hands.
Ooh.
And then this is where you're going to rotate it, and you're going to
Now
kind of use your fingers.
But this is gonna tear. This can tear. Right?
Yeah, so I want you to do it because once it gets to a certain point, it's gonna fall on you. So this one, it'll feel more like what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
See how it's just flopping on you?
Yeah. Well, it's because I'm not going fast enough, or I'm not staying wide enough. What am I doing wrong?
I think you're doing a great job, but it's just all about feel and moving it and keep it on the edge there. See how you're on like kind of in here, which not the edge, and see how this is real thick out here. So you want to stay on that, and you almost want to just pull on all that on the outsides. And you're actually getting this out to size pretty quickly, so you want to stay on the edges.
Are you into square pizzas? Are you wanting to? Do you want to hire a square pizza?
No.
A square pizza guy? You know, just for a novelty of it.
Is that you're gonna put on your application?
Yeah, I do.
Only do
really
square
good.
pizzas?
I do really good Picasso pizzas.
It was a lot of stress opening up during COVID because you don't know where it's going to go. But it was also really beneficial, I think, looking back at it, because it gave the crew, it gave me, it gave everyone involved the ability to understand what this is going to look like, how the flow is going to be, get all the processes, all the quality standards put in place. And then whenever it kind of started to settle down and it started ramping up and it continued to ramp up, it wasn't a detriment to what we were doing. It was already, we know what we're doing. It's just higher volume. We can work faster. We can do things better. We can have the same quality control. Whereas a lot of places, I think they open and they're just overwhelmed. And even the person running the place doesn't know how to fix these problems because he's overwhelmed or she's overwhelmed as well. So I think it was scary at first, stressful on myself, but you don't want to show that to other people. But ultimately, I think it was good because it gave us more time to kind of understand how things are going to flow. Well, it's good. We'll pull a tray and put it on a tray or a screen, and then now we're out to size to where we need to be. We don't ever want to hang it off of this because see how like big circles make little circles, and we're a little awkward here. But
So once you get it to a pretty decent circle, if it's pretty even and stuff, then you can just pull it to this tray and kind of like that pretty.
Yeah, it looks good. Next thing we do is we put sauce on.
Okay.
So the sauce is over there. We do one even ladle.
One
even ladle. So whenever we do it, we stir the sauce around a little bit.
How many ounce ladle is this?
16.
Okay.
And then see how it's perfect?
Yeah.
You don't want any more, any less than that.
Okay. So you
Just put a big glob right in the middle.
I'll put a big glob right there?
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, now the next move, you want to spread it all out to the edges, just like that. To see how I choked down, I got a little bit more control on it.
Yeah.
And then you just want to start in the middle and you push it out evenly. And it gets out evenly. And then you'll get to a point where you can't really spread it anymore. And then we do like this star pattern. So we just go all the way out on all these angles.
And just can it keep
Yeah,
going?
and just do that in all angles, push it out.
Until you get to like every kind of place of the pizza.
You want to leave about, an inch, half inch over here on each side of the crust.
I know your tricks.
And the star pattern doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to get it out to where we can do a final circle on it.
Like a kind of swirly.
Yeah, and then the final one, you just start back in that center, and you're just literally doing a circle until it gets it out to where you want it to be, around that crust area. And then what happens is the cheese melts in between all these grooves.
So you don't even really notice that it's not
correct.
That has that area.
And then that's perfect. See, all that cheese is gonna layer in between it. A major problem that I've seen working on the airboard is that people have a problem with turnover and employees retaining and all that. So we, throughout the course of 2 years, have pretty much retained our core staff through 2 years, and we turn down more resumes than we actually bring on. And if I could give it to anyone, it's the ability to make sure your employees are 110% happy all the time. And when they walk in that place, they genuinely put their hat on and they're genuinely themselves. You want to work here, you want to kind of have fun where you're working. You don't want to go and clock somewhere, just make a paycheck and then clock out and be miserable. You want to, oh, I get to go to work today, I get to have fun, I get to enjoy it. How's it going?
Good, you?
Yeah, let me get that for you. And that's the most important thing to me. And if I would give someone who owns a business, that is the most rewarding, and it's also made my business the most successful. Because every time someone comes in here, whether it be a customer or a worker, they're happy. And the people that come in and they try the pizza, they have an experience, and they feel that before they even actually eat pizza. So I think it heightens the quality of the food because you're having a great experience around people that are also having a great experience. Okay. So now we get all the cheeses down below. It's pre-portioned. And we pre-portion all of our food so that people don't have to
think about it.
It's quick.
So this is one pizza.
That's one pizza. Yep.
Okay.
And we always start with around the crust first.
Okay. So on the outside first.
Yeah. So we don't want anything on the crust because then it won't rise properly.
Right.
And
so
we want to start.
I'm saying right in the inside of it.
Yeah, inside, right on all that sauce is where you want that cheese, and you want it because we don't want the middle of the pizza to be as heavy as the outside because that's where it's going to flop.
Right. So once you decided on pizza, how did you go about your research?
A lot of trial and error. We actually rented out Owl Bakery here in town over in West Asheville. We were trying stuff, realizing that I was not good at this. And the person who's owning the bakery was like, you guys need a lot of help. And we were like, hell yeah, we do. And she was hiring a baker who came over. He was specialized in pizza, so he helped us out, and we kind of dialed in recipes for 3 to 6 months before we started opening up.
Now, when you lived in New York, you had eaten a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
Did you ever eat a pizza in New York that was similar to this, like that spoke to you?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think of it like that. I think it was more of a transaction in New York. It was like I was too drunk and I just wanted to get a slice of pizza in my mouth. And then we kind of crafted it for taste, because it was mine.
I was thinking more of like the whole idea that it collapses and that crust.
Yeah.
Because that's a very New York thing, right?
That's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't have floppy pizza. You don't even want to eat pizza if it's floppy.
So in New York, they're doing those pizzas out of stand. Are they in stands or are they in like hard buildings? Like a
lot of them are brick and mortar, but some of them are pizza windows, and that's kind of our original concept was that we wanted to do a pizza window and then just transfer it into this small space. And now the small space with all the volume is actually too small as well. So our next shop will increase the size, probably double the size of it.
And you're building your next shop where?
We're now sitting at our flagship location in Asheville. The next location is hopefully going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's going to be our volume-based training facility where we're going to kind of have a hub for everyone to come in, and it's going to be a bigger space, more room to work in the kitchen and train. And then eventually, as we grow as a business, that'll be our hub where people come train and then they go to their other stores in different areas, wherever that may be. So can I give you a little tip?
Yeah.
See how this right here?
Yeah.
This is all going to rise. So you want to actually...
Well, I didn't want to get like too...
That's all right.
I wanted to check it out. Well, I mean, I can come back around at the end.
Yeah. So but you want to have enough of this cheese so it's covered on everything.
I need you to look at me like Tyler, first time making a pizza, Tyler. That's how I need you to see me.
Yeah, and I'm not here to embarrass you either, you know?
No, I'm not. You can't embarrass me. I don't give a shit.
Okay, so see how we're short right now?
Yeah. Can I just grab some?
Yeah, we can pull some and bring it in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the cheese's fault.
Yeah,
It's not mine.
We'll blame it on the cheese.
Yeah, like you have things like specifically that like you want done here, and they're very small, but they're very important.
Yeah.
Right. But it still seeps in, right? That old restaurant culture still seeps in.
100%. So if something happens that isn't aligning with your culture personally, then you need to shut it down right up front, and you need to explain why I'm shutting it down, and you just set that boundary for yourself or your employees or whoever it may be. It's actually perfect. You got the 1 inch, you got the flat pizza.
Okay.
So now you want to do pepperoni, right?
Yeah, sure.
We'll go.
Yeah, I'll give
So
it a jump
these,
on the way.
what we do is we just take a big handful and we'll just spread it on everything. Right now, we're probably making the slowest pizza we've ever made in this place. Yeah, so dump that whole thing on the pizza.
Just in the middle?
Yeah. And then now we'll just spread it out.
Okay. They're not overlapping.
Yeah, you don't want to be too much.
Well,
but
because you want to cover, you don't want them to be on top of each other. You want them each single to be out.
Correct.
Almost, right?
Okay, now the last part before we put it in the oven, we just want to make sure that all around the edges
Or off.
It's off, yeah.
So that it doesn't get on the oven.
If it touches, it'll scrape it, it'll burn it.
And then, yeah.
So pick it up. You're gonna pick it up from underneath or from side to side, whatever you want. We're gonna come in this top slot. That's number 1.
Okay.
Boom. You're officially a pizza maker. Hit number 1 on the top 6.
This?
Yep. We know when that comes out, we take a screen off, and then at 1 minute we put a 1 minute kiss, and then it's coming out the oven.
Oh, nice.
So it's 7 minute cook time.
Yeah, just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Big thank you to Tyler and his crew for the hospitality and patience they gave me. Remember, the only way to be is to just be.